Hello everyone. So as topic mentioned, I'm going to discuss about what to say, what to mention when new boss or new interviewer asks you to mention about your salary, about your amount which you want to have in the daily basis or weekly basis or in the annual basis. So what to do at that time. So before I discuss about what to do, I will first discuss about what not to do when we are negotiating about our salary for the first time. So what not to do, things not to do. So number one things which we must not do is never ever mention the low amount. It's a common sense, right? Why we should not mention the low amount. We all know the reason. So I'll let you know the reason. So another one thing is, it shows that we have low self-esteem, right? It shows that we deserve less, right? And next thing is, if we mention the low price, low amount, there is a very very less chance for us to get the higher amount of the money, higher amount of the salary, extremely less chance. So if there is a extremely less chance to get the higher amount, so why would we settle for the low prices, or why would we settle for the low salary? We better go for the higher salary. It's a common thing, right? So these things we should not do, right? What is that thing? Never ask for the low amount. Number one thing. Number second thing, do not mention exact specific amount. Never ever do this mistake. Never mention the specific mention. Never go on saying that I want $118,000. Never do that. You might be surprised, regarding this statement. You might be thinking, what a fool, what a fool of this guy. What kind of statement he is making. It sounds really dumb, but later on you will get to know that why I am saying this, what to do instead, right? So what is the third thing we should not do is never mention the common amount. Let's say, 118,000 dollar. It's a pretty common number, right? $120,000. It's a common number. So never ever mention the common number, because it decreases your value, and it shows that you are randomly throwing the number without any investigation, without any research. And the way the people, that interviewer or the new boss or whatever, will look at you will be lot more different than the number which is uncommon. A lot more different when you mention the common number than when you mention little uncommon number. I'll let you know, I'll explain it later as well. So let's jump into the next one. Next one, in a sense, now we are done with things not to do. Let's jump into the category that is things to do, right? So of course it will be exactly opposite, but I'll try to elaborate those things, those points. So number one is, always mention the higher amount than they expected. uh, Always mention the higher amount, right? Not only higher amount than the amount than they expected. Might you do some research in the internet. Of course you can't exactly mention the amount what they are expecting, but at least you can do research in the marketplace and things like that. How much they are paying for your job, things like that. Always mention the higher amount. So second thing is, always mention the range. So remember what I said previously, do not mention the exact specific amount. Now what we are going to do is, we are mentioning the range. For example, we are not mentioning I want $118,000. Instead of that, we are mentioning the amount from let's say 118,565 to $145,785. So we are mentioning in the range. When we mention the amount in the range, a lot of times, they will try to negotiate between the range, right? Even in case if they don't negotiate between the range, they don't go very far away from the range. So that is the reason. Let's say, remember I mentioned $118,000 to $18,745, something on those lines, to $145,000 765, something on those lines, right? Let's say I only mentioned the higher amount, 145,675. So what might happen is, you know there is the chances they will say that, okay, we can only pay you $95,000. There is the chances, if you mention the lower price only, 118,765, there will be the even more chances they will go even way less than that. Might be they will say $85,000, right? So you don't want to do that. If you mention those range, there is very less likelihood that they will go, way too low than you asked for it, right? And because, in a way, you are letting them to make a decision from this to this. I'm not making the number specific. You decide from this to this. So there is the chances, they will make the agreement within that number, within that range. Or even if even in the worst scenario, they don't go too far, like in the case when we mention the specific number, always mention the number from the number in the two range, remember. So well, let's jump into the third one. Always mention either odd number or uncommon number. Let's say, if I say 117,000 number, sorry, dollar, it's a very common number and it doesn't show that I have done much of the research, right? If I say $117,000 $185 to $145,765, it shows that at least it gives them false sense of belief that I have done some research, excuse me, from my part. And it sounds really great as well. It doesn't sound like a common man. You are stating the agreement, you are stating the range, at the same time you are making yourself separate from the common people. You are making yourself as unique people. You are putting your brand, right? It gives people it gives the boss or interviewer really the great impression. So it seriously shows that you have done some investigation. Let's say you want money from mother. You asked $100 mother. It doesn't sound that good. You might instead of that, if you ask $103, it sounds much more relevant, right? Though it is not. Whether it is not, or whether it is or it is not, but it sounds relevant. So always mention either odd number or very uncommon number. Odd number in a sense, don't mention something like, if you go to mother and ask for the money, don't mention I want $105 money, right? It can be used anywhere, right? So similarly, don't mention here that odd number which is very common, right? But mention those number which is extremely uncommon, right? Even the odd number are mostly uncommon anyway. But yeah, just try to mention the uncommon number and try to mention the ranges. And always mention the higher price, even though even the minimum range should be higher than that they expected. Thank you very much. So before I'm sorry, um before I before I end this conversation, before I end my talk, so I really want to thank Chris, who is the author of Never Split the Difference. I got this concept from the book name Never Split the Difference, and you can check and you can have a look over that book. Thanks a lot. Thank you.